Noah had been my best friend for years. The kind of friend who knew exactly how I took my coffee, who remembered every embarrassing story from my childhood, and who could tell what I was thinking just by looking at me. We had been through everything together: bad breakups, late-night study sessions, even that one time we got stranded on the side of the road at 2 a.m. because I forgot to fill up my gas tank. But through it all, we were just friends. Always. That night should have been like any other. It started with a storm. Not just a drizzle or a light shower, but a full-on, thunder-rattling, street-flooding downpour. I had driven to Noah's apartment after work to hang out, but by the time I was ready to leave, the storm had turned vicious. Sheets of rain slammed against the windows, and when I tried to start my car, the engine sputtered and died. "Well, that's not good," I muttered, jiggling the keys in frustration. Noah leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Looks like you're stuck here." His voice was calm, but there was something else there, something I couldn't quite place. I sighed, grabbing my overnight bag from the back seat. "Guess I'm crashing on your couch again." It wasn't a big deal. I had stayed over before, and Noah always made sure I had blankets, a spare t-shirt, and a toothbrush ready. But something about tonight felt different. Inside, the apartment was warm, the air thick with the scent of rain and the faint aroma of the vanilla candle Noah had lit. The storm raged outside, rattling the windows, while a movie played in the background. But I wasn't paying attention to it. I could feel Noah watching me. I wasn't sure when the shift had happened, when the space between us had started to feel heavier, charged. Maybe it was the way the dim light softened his features, making the sharp angles of his jawline look impossibly perfect. Or maybe it was the way his fingers tapped restlessly against his knee, like he was debating something. "You okay?" I asked, breaking the silence. He hesitated. "Yeah, just thinking." I tilted my head. "About what?" He turned toward me, his expression unreadable. "Do you ever wonder if things would be different if we weren't just friends?" The question sent a slow, lingering heat through my chest. I swallowed. "What do you mean?" Noah exhaled, raking a hand through his dark hair. "I mean, have you ever thought about us as something more?" My heart pounded so hard I could hear it over the storm. The truth was, I had thought about it. More times than I cared to admit. But I had always shoved the thought aside, convincing myself that what we had was better left untouched. I started, but Noah shook his head. "Never mind," he said quickly. "Forget I said anything." He looked away, as if embarrassed, but I couldn't let it go. Not now. I took a slow breath. What if I don't want to forget? His eyes snapped back to mine, searching. There was something unspoken hanging between us now, something fragile but undeniable. He shifted closer, just enough that I could feel the warmth of him, even through the blanket draped over my lap. His hand reached up, hesitating for a fraction of a second before tucking a loose strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers lingered against my skin, and I couldn't breathe. "This is probably a bad idea," I whispered, though I wasn't sure if I meant it. His lips curled into a small, almost knowing smile. "Maybe," he murmured. "But what if it's not?" The air between us crackled like the lightning outside. I didn't know who moved first, if it was him or me, but suddenly the space between us was gone. His forehead rested lightly against mine, his breath warm and steady. He was giving me a choice, a moment to pull away if I wanted to. I didn't. Before I could second-guess myself, before I could talk myself out of it, I closed the distance. The moment our lips met, it was like something inside me clicked into place. It wasn't hurried or frantic. It was slow, deliberate, as if we had been waiting for this moment for longer than we even realized. Noah's hand cupped the side of my face, his thumb grazing my cheek in the softest way imaginable. My fingers curled into the fabric of his hoodie, holding onto him like he was the only thing keeping me steady. We had been just friends for so long. But that night changed everything. The next morning, the sunlight streamed through the blinds, casting soft golden patterns against the walls. I blinked, the events of last night flooding back in waves. Noah was already awake, sitting on the edge of the couch with a cup of coffee in his hands. He looked over at me, his expression unreadable. For a moment, My heart clenched. Was he regretting it? Then he smiled. Morning. I let out a breath. I hadn't realized I was holding. Morning. There was a beat of silence before he spoke again, his voice softer this time. So, where do we go from here? I met his gaze, a slow smile forming on my lips. Wherever this takes us. His fingers found mine, lacing them together. And just like that, everything changed.